to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
Razabani for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. With me, promoter Ben Shalom. Ben, been a few weeks. How are we doing?
Yeah, very well. Shields Marshall, since then, it's been making fights, getting back to business. Obviously, incredible night for us, incredible night for the sport, and good to be back now. Gallagher's gym, Natasha Jonas in her unification. So, yeah, good to be back.
Mentioned we're here in Gallagher's gym. I must mention, you must stick to promoting, mate, because I saw you leathering the punch bag, mate. I wouldn't do that again.
This was the first gym I used to come in, 18 years old. Sam Hyde, my first fight, went from Ensley Bingham to Joe Gallagher, and I'd come in here. And that time at the gym, there was Crawler, Smith Brothers, Quigg, incredible. Obviously building back up now, but it's a special place, special gym.
What did you learn?
I learned from Joe how brutal this sport is. Joe, you know what? Joe gets a lot of stick, but he's a proper boxing man. He loves it. He loves his fighters, and it's a good place to be. Everyone in this gym's so passionate. It's good.
But yeah, like I said, stay away from the punch bag, mate, and stick to contracts and promoting. I think that's the best place for you to be. But just as you mentioned, Shields Marshall, what was the reaction from the team, Sky, afterwards? Because it was a phenomenal event.
Yeah, massive risk, all women's night. We said that at the time, but yeah, unbelievable. The reaction, the numbers, the fights. Obviously, Clarissa put in an incredible legacy performance. I'd never seen her perform like that, if I'm honest. And Savannah's devastated. I've been speaking to her. It's good to see. She's a winner, despite everything she's achieved this year, despite headlining the O2, despite, honestly, her profile triple, quadruple. She's a household name in British boxing. She is devastated. It doesn't matter how good Clarissa was, Savannah's devastated because she knows that wasn't what she could do. And that will always kill a fighter and haunt a fighter, and that's what's going to make her dangerous coming back.
I know I spoke to you and Dimitri after the fight, and you spoke about a potential rematch, but if it happens in America, but is that something that Clarissa wants, or does she want to move on and do other things?
It's still the biggest fight in the middleweight and super middleweight division. There's no one close to them. So it's going to happen at some point. I think if Savannah wasn't so upset with what went on and how perhaps I thought she did extremely well to come back in, but how she performed, I think Clarissa was so good, it caught everyone off guard. If Savannah wasn't so devastated by it and believed that she could do a lot better, then maybe we wouldn't look at it. But at the same time, Clarissa knows it's the biggest fight for her in boxing, full stop. So I expect it to happen again, but in different circumstances at the right time. And both of them now will continue. Clarissa wants to stay in the UK. She's a superstar over here. When she came over here in Cardiff on the Eubank card, she couldn't believe it, man. She walks around the US like it's not the same, but over here she saw what it was like, and she was in the O2, and she's 20,000 people. She didn't want to go away, so we're going to see some big fights over here as well. So that's big for us and big for boxing fans in Britain.
From a few weeks ago, a woman's card to a woman's main event next week. Natasha Jonas returns for a third world title. I spoke to the whole team. I spoke to Paul Butler today, Scott Quigg, Joe Gallagher. I think she's like fine wine. Yeah. She's getting better as she gets older. Yeah,
her ring craft's incredible. I think when she went up to 154, we knew she was going to have to be good because she's fighting bigger girls. But wow, to do what she's done, she came and she said it was a risk coming with us. She said, I have to become world champion. She was late on in her career. Things haven't gone for her. She's done a lot, but things didn't go for her. She obviously became a mother, took a break, came back. She needed to become world champion, and she took a risk, and now she sits here with 2 belts at 154, fighting for a third. She never turns a fight down, any fight, any division. Fights for the Ring Magazine belt, and she just gets better and better. This is a much tougher test, I think. Southpaw, awkward, robust, only ever lost to Clarissa Shields, stopped her last opponent. We've been watching her. It's going to be a tough fight, but Tasha just wants the big fights now. A unification to think where she was in Jan. What a story. Honestly, what a story. Obviously, so happy for her. But as you say, she gets better and better and more confidence now at the weight. And she knows her power carries through. She saw that against Namas. And that's what she'll be bringing next week.
I spoke to her and I said, look, there are rumours flying around. I know her eyes next week, but there are rumours about potential fight with Clarissa Shields. Yeah. I said, look, Katie Taylor wants an opponent for Croke Park if she can't get Serrano. And I put it to her, I said, look, if Ben bought you both ladies and said, look, money's equal, who would you go to America for Clarissa or Ireland for Katie? She goes, look, I would love the Katie rematch in Croke Park because avenge that loss. But ultimately, we'd love to fight Clarissa as well. So are those realistic?
She knew everyone knows how close that Jonas and Taylor fight was. She wants that fight. She's always wanted it. But she just wants the big names. Clarissa Shields called Jonas out, Tasha out, not the other way around. So she'll take anything at any weight, at 140, at 147, at 154. First and foremost, she's got a tough test to be sat here about to potentially win 3 world titles in a Ring magazine. She could go and unify, but I think for her, she's looking at McCaskill, she's looking at Taylor, she's looking at Shields. She wants to go out with a bang, with the biggest fights possible. But let's see her come through next week.
Dalton Smith, you won the purse bids, obviously Casey Benjamin. He headlined his last fight in Sheffield, so you must be thrilled to have won that bid.
Yeah, Dalton's special talent. That 140 division, obviously, there's Adam Azim, Jack Cattrall, who we have, and obviously Josh Taylor. It's a special division. I think it's going to be a one for the future. There's some big fights to be made, Ritson and O'Hara Davis for those guys. And I think with Dalton, we've obviously watched from afar. We want him to impress now on the big stage. He's not our fighter. We're delighted to have him. We're delighted to have him in his toughest test yet. And I'm surprised, and fair play to Grant, because I worked with Grant with Florian Marcoux and John Doherty. I'm not surprised, but I'm glad that we've got a fighter that's willing to take any test. Doesn't matter what it is. That's a proper old school, old-fashioned fighter to fight Casey Benjamin, who everyone in boxing knows how good he is. We came through our tournament and we were watching him and thinking, John Pegg and Soggy, they know how good he is. That's a proper fight, a proper British title fight. And Dalton's coming over and he's going to do it with us, and we'll see what happens after that. But fair play to Dalton, I respect that. But Casey is a tough customer. It's a big fight.
Is it a good time for fighters now? Because there's so many promoters out there, and promoters want to stack their stable of fighters, where I'm not sure how many fighters Dalton has left with Matchroom, but eventually that will run out. And I have heard him say in interviews that, listen, highest bidder, show me the money. So would you say you're in a good position?
I think, look, Adam Azim has had 5 or 6 fights, and his profile's big. Big. One of the fighters that I get asked most about, I promise you, all the time, Adam Azim, he's the future. I agree. But that's the power of the platform and the power of Sky. And I think if you in your career and in your ascendancy, and you want to be fighting on big platform, and now you know that we can deliver as well, I think it's the place to be. We'd love to have Dalton Smith, but so would every other promoter. And I'm sure there's going to be a fight for him after he fights, and he'll do what's best for his career. But we're very confident with what we can offer for a fighter like that. He should be headlining and filling out arenas. I really believe that. He's got the core following that you need in Sheffield that can grow and grow. And he'll do what he thinks is best for his long-term career, and we'll respect that. But obviously, we're interested in Dalton Smith, and I'm sure every other promoter is. He's a quality fighter. There's massive fights down the line, massive fights like I've mentioned. And I think that Adam Azim, Dalton Smith, that's going to be a rivalry that we see develop over the next few years, which is exciting for the whole sport.
Fraser Clark, a lot of criticism over the last couple of opponents. I know you were very vocal about that, but you've got someone in Kamil Sokolowski who's game, and I'm sure Fraser and his team are happy with that being the next opponent.
We have not got so much stick for anything other than that. We've got a replacement opponent this time. It's happened to us twice, 48 hours before the opponent's pulled out. It's difficult for us when that happens, it's difficult for him. We wanted to give Kamil Sokolowski a full camp, so we know he's a dangerous fighter if he has 8 weeks. Usually he's taking fights on 1 week notice, 2 weeks notice. It's a big test for him in his 4th fight. It's a proper fight, and Kamil will come to fight. That's what fans want to see. We are listening, and it was unfortunate what's happened, but now he's going to get his test, and it's at the Manchester Arena in front of a big crowd. And yeah, looking forward to really getting his career going on the big platform. People love Fraser Clark. He's a pundit now on Sky. What other guys been doing that in their first year? Comes across really well. Great ambassador in and outside the ring. He's going to be a future British heavyweight star. I really believe that. He's a fan favourite. He's an exciting style, and this will be the first of many big nights for him.
Vidal Rowley, I was with him a couple of days ago. Obviously, I was eager to ask him about Jake Paul, because Jake Paul called him out on the weekend and said, look, it'd be great to knock out the trainer and beat the trainer of KSI, because KSI would never fight me. But I know what Vidal's stance is, and I know what your stance is, and that's boxing and winning titles. But could you get tempted?
He wasn't happy with me for mentioning that, and that's testament to him. Vidal could earn millions. Vidal is a special guy. Honestly, he loves the sport so much. He grew up as a very good amateur boxer, had some notable wins on his record, became a superstar in that field, and wants to get back to basics. Sees the Richard Riatpours, the Lawrence Okolys, the Vidal Smiths. He wants to be up there. He respects boxing. He wants British titles. He wants world titles. When he can go and make the money he can make, and believe me, I've seen some of the offers, that's a special guy that loves the sport. And fair play, because it is tempting for him. But we want him to be a serious contender in the cruiserweight division. Unbelievable division at the moment. You could almost do a Super 6 tournament at the moment with CBS and Macaboo and Riatpour and Okolie, and Lawal's fighting for the British against Juma. It's a good division at the moment. Gulamarian, Opataya, all of them want to fight each other. I think that division is going to get hotter, and Vidal wants to be right up there. And fair play for him wanting to do it the right way. He almost doesn't like it being mentioned, and he almost like hides away from the limelight, which is crazy given the following that he's got, but it shows how serious he is at the sport, and I think it frustrates him because he's a boxer first.
Ben, could you just let us know and all the viewers know regarding the logistics of Saturday night? Because obviously you've got your show, and then Ricky Hatton comes on with Marcus Antonio Barrera as well. So just explain to us the logistics, how that works, if you can want a ticket, how that works, and do you have anything to do with the Ricky show, etc.?
Nothing to do with it. You know what? We knew Ricky wanted to do a comeback. We knew he was doing it with Europa Concerts, and Sky obviously have a long history with Ricky, and the arena, just fair play for the arena for letting us do it. The ticket will get you into both things. Natasha Jonas obviously headlines with us. We've got Brad Ray against Tyler Denny in his biggest test. He's a Manchester lad who we have high hopes for, and I think people love watching him fight. Fraser Clark, Dalton Smith, Casey Benjamin in their British title. And then after the main event at the end of the night, we'll see Ricky in his exhibition. And in Manchester, that's a big thing. It's a celebration really for Ricky, that, and it will be good to see. It will be on Sky as well. Tickets will get you into both. It'll be a big night at the Manchester Arena. There's some big fights and celebration for Manchester boxing. We've got Clark Smith as well, a new boy at Gallagher's gym who Joe has massive hopes for, and it's good because Manchester boxing used to have the Crawlers, the Quiggs, the Hattons, the Gomezes, and now we're trying to find the next ones. And Jack Cattrall would love to get fighting in Manchester regularly. Brad Ray, Clark Smith coming through, and Ricky at top. It will be a big night.
We look forward to the show next week, Ben. I will speak in more detail about the show next week. Obviously, just moving away from Natasha and the show next week, 2 weeks' time you come to London.
Yes.
It's a stacked weekend of boxing. Wasserman go on Friday night, your call. DAZN, Frank Warren go on the same night on Saturday, and you've done something different, Super Sunday.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the thinking behind that.
You know what? We knew we could see what was going to happen. I think everyone in boxing could see that everyone was eyeing that 26th, and Super Sunday is massive for Sky, Premier League, and we've been looking at that slot and looking at the World Cup, and could we ever do a Super Sunday boxing? Different analysis, different way of viewing boxing. A lot of younger kids and families, they won't stay up to 10:30 to watch main events and things like that, so saw the opportunity to do it. No Premier League, World Cup fever, Ali Pali, drinks. It's going to be a show, but it's going to be Super Sunday for boxing. It's brilliant that Sky have given us that slot. It's a massive slot. And I think boxing is going to benefit from it. Our fighters will. It's Adam Azim's first headline show. We've got Lawal Juma in the British title. Mikhail Lawal's been with us since the very start. Had such a tough journey through the tournament, and he'll fight for the British against Dion Juma, and then Lerone Richards back on the big screen, because he is one of the best talents in British boxing, but the profile isn't there. It's not. It's almost at a different level, and he recognises that. And Zach Chelly, who's our guy, is going to come and give him a big fight, and he only knows one way. And Lerone needs an exciting fight on a big platform, and I think that's why he's taken it. So, yeah, big Super Sunday, and I think it's going to do well. 4 till 7 p.m. on Sky. It's a different experience. Boxing fans will be glad they can watch everything. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and for the first time we get to watch boxing on a Sunday afternoon, and Sky are going to do it differently. It's going to be a different experience in the arena, so for anyone that wants to come and see that, but on TV as well, it's going to be a special day.
So main event no later than 7 p.m.
Main event will be about 6:30. Adam Azim against Ryland Charlton in his step up. Yes, I really think it's going to be a big show.
Interesting. We look forward to it. Any updates on Liam Smith? I know he wants the big fights. He wants world title fights. Where he wants a Chris Eubank Jr. But any updates on him?
We're very close. Very close to a big fight. Obviously, until it's announced, it's not announced. But we are.
This year?
I hope so. I hope so. Liam's obviously made a bold move to come across. Headlined in Liverpool. Didn't really go to plan with what happened with Marquinhos. Toughest night we've had this year, but he's a quality fighter and very popular fighter, and was coming off three big wins, and he wants the big fights. He's made no mistake about that. We'll see. I think fingers crossed we'll have something to announce very, very soon.
Conor Benn, lots been happening. I spoke to you briefly about this last time we spoke, and it just seems like a mess. It seems like there's so much going on. There's so many stories, so many people talking, so many people involved. Are you keeping up?
I'm not anymore. I've checked out. He's failed 2 tests, and it's not a which one. I don't even know. It's astonishing. If it continues the way it is, then where do the British Boxing Board stand? What are they supposed to do when someone's failed 2 tests? What are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to? What is expected from the board from that side? And for him to, I think again, I said it last time. Everyone can see what's going on. It's frustrating because it's like another thing that the sport has to deal with, and it keeps going on. It's something that we can't have in our sport. If it was my fighter going into that ring with someone, you'd be worried. Whether guilty or not, what has happened is 2 failed tests now. I'm not sure why we're still talking about it. I'm not sure what the purpose of the whole thing is anymore. We all want the sport to be clean. We all want people that do it to be made an example of, and make sure that others aren't doing it, because it can be a problem in this sport, and hopefully we can deal with it sensibly and it's put to bed, and the sport can move on.
Chisora Fury, or Fury-Chisora. A lot of backlash. A lot of people not happy with Fury's choice of opponent. And I know Frank Warren went through the list of opponents. Do you understand the frustration from fans?
You know what? You can't blame the fighters, because the fighters will just take the best opportunity that makes the most sense. Tyson Fury, in fairness, has given us a trilogy that we never expected. It was incredible, and Derek has taken war after war after war after war. So fair play if they want to have a payday and get it on and give entertainment. They've given us a lot. Whether it's a fight as a boxing fan I wanted to see, if I'm honest, obviously not. But that's not to say that isn't the right thing for both of their careers. And we'll see Tyson in big fights to come, and we've always seen Derek in wars, so why not? He's given us that many big nights. Can he not have his? I think the fighters aren't to blame for that, even though as a boxing fan, not sure.
Joseph Parker, quick update.
Joseph wants to be out this year, wants to be out very quickly. There is a big fight that we're looking at for him right now. He wants big fights straight away. So hoping to see Joseph. He, again, in a similar way to Savannah, very disappointed with his game plan and his performance, in the sense that he was a warrior that night. It was an incredible fight. But I feel he felt he fought the wrong fight for Joe Joyce. But against anyone else, they feel that power, and he did look big and he did look strong, and he wants the big fight straight away. And next few days we might be hearing something for Joseph and another big fight.
Any new signings?
Any new signings? We'll see before the end of the year. Obviously, it's been a crazy year for us. Some massive nights and one more massive night to announce before the end of the year. yes, new signings to come. We're starting to get very happy with our stable. We think we've got the best young stable in the country, without a doubt. Looking forward to seeing Ben Whittaker out, who's back, who's been out a bit as well. But yeah, going to be an exciting end to the year for sure, and an incredible year so far.
Okay, well, Ben, anything else you'd like to add before we conclude? Because it's quite cold in here.
It is freezing. It was boiling when we first get in. No, just November 12th is a proper night in Manchester. Natasha Jonas going for the world title, third world title, Ring Magazine. Dalton Smith in a war with Casey Benjamin. Chance for him to show how good he really is. Fraser Clark step up. Brad Ray, honestly, 23 years old. He's going to be a top middleweight for Manchester, and he's taken on Tyler Denny, who's been in a war twice now with River Wilson Ben. Didn't have to take that once the English title, was going to take whoever it was. It's a big night in Manchester on November the 12th, and that's the one I'm looking forward to.
Ben Shalom, IFL TV, thank you very much.
I'm going to share something with you that might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.